Okay. In the last session, we talked about the user creation. When we work as an implementation consultant, which roles access is required? What is the purpose of each role? The roles what Oracle is providing, how we call. These are the points we discussed. We have to create the user called as implementation user. That user need access to application implementation consultant, IT security manager role, application implementation consultant role to get access to FSM so that we can perform the setups. With the help of IT security manager role, we'll be able to create users and we can assign the roles to the users. And if required, we can create the custom roles also. But how to create the custom roles, we'll see after a few classes. These two roles we are calling as seeded roles. These two roles are delivered by Oracle. Oracle delivered roles you can call. In other words, we can say seeded roles. Now we'll focus on FSM. So what is the purpose of FSM? With the help of FSM, you can do application configuration. Any application you can configure, you can set up. We discussed different product families. We discussed different product families. Those are financials, SCM, HCM, PPM, and etc. These all product families as per FSM we call as offerings. Finance we call as one of the offering. Yes, finance solution Oracle is offering. Okay, and SCM solution Oracle is offering. HCM, PPM, whatever the solutions Oracle is offering, the same we call as offerings as per FSM. So this is a terminology we use when we deal with FSM. Take example of financials. The financials product family we are calling as offering. When you call financials product family as offering, inside of the financials, we have a different applications. We have applications like GL, General Ledger, AP, Accounts Payable, AR, Accounts Receivable, CM, Cash Management, FA, Fixed Assets, Expense, etc. We have different applications. We are calling product families as offering as per FSM terminology. When you call product families as offering, how we call applications? These are the different applications. Instead of calling as applications, as per FSM, these all we call as options. GL we call as one of the option is available for the customers to use. AP is one of the option. So these are the different options. Applications we are calling as an option, and product families we are calling as offering. Okay, so offering and options. The terminology we have to understand. Product families we are calling as offering. The applications we are calling as option. You can call this GL APR as applications, or you can call as module. Both are same. Okay. Application. You can say AP application. It's nothing but AP module. Or now another term is AP option also. All are same. Just we have to be aware of the different terminology which is aligned with the specific application or product families. Now, when we do the implementation for any client, we get access to fresh environment. We'll get user credentials. With the same user, we'll log into the instance and we create our own user instead of using the common user which is shared across the project team. We create our own user and we can start working. So first step is creating our own user and assigning these roles to that user. Then what would be the next step? Whatever the offerings and options we are going to implement for the client, I mean, what are the offerings and options in the implementation scope? What are the offerings and options are in the implementation scope? Means which applications we are going to implement. Accordingly, we have to enable offerings and options through FSM. What we have to do, we have to enable offerings and options in fresh environment. If it is a fresh environment, we need to enable offerings and options so that we can start performing the configuration. We can start performing the configuration. So after creating our own user, make sure the required offerings and options already enabled in that environment. Let's see how to enable offerings and options. Before enabling, where we can find all the offerings and options. Go to instance. Now, we want to enable offerings and options. Okay, when we enable offerings and options, first you can see all the offerings which Oracle is providing. From that, which offerings and options we are going to implement for that specific client. You will aware when you are in the project, you will just come to know what we are going to implement. We are going to implement finance and SCM. Then we will enable finance and SCM offerings. Within those offerings, relevant applications we are calling as options. Okay, it is not mandatory. If you enable offerings financials, you have to enable all the options. Client might have opted 3 applications. Then you have to enable those 3 options on. Right, we'll see that. Now click on username. We are going to enable offerings and options. Click on username and click on the task called as setup and maintenance. Click on setup and maintenance task. Now we are in the FSM page. We want to enable offerings and options. To enable offerings, go to actions. Here we have actions drop down. Click on the drop down. We have various actions. What action we want to perform? We want to enable offerings. To enable the offerings, here is the action. Go to offerings. Go to offerings. Select go to offerings. It will take us to the page from where we can enable the offerings. Hope you are capturing all the points, the navigations, the points what we are discussing. Okay. So please capture each and every point. The best thing you can have a maintain on notebook and capture each and every system navigation and whatever we are doing in the system, capture as it is everything, and whatever we are discussing, the key points, please make a note. Later you can read and you can go through. That's how you can get ready. Your notebook should become big asset for you in terms of learning this kind of financials applications. Okay. So just make plan accordingly. That will help you. Don't depend on videos. Yes, you will get the videos, but if required, you may play later, but don't set that as a target. So target is you are going to capture each and everything during the session itself. Then you will read that, and you by referring that note, you are going to practice on the system. Okay. Follow this approach, it will help you. Otherwise, again, playing the video, going through and just referring the video, and if you are planning to practice, it will kill a lot of your valuable time. Okay, think you are not going to get videos. In fact, you are going to get, and only the source is attending the class and capturing the note. Depending on, you have to depend on your note and you have to practice. Other side, you have to read that. You have to capture everything what we are discussing and doing. So you are going to go through the same content to get ready. It could be interview process, or it may be kind of transition which you are trying to upgrade from EBS to Fusion or from other technology to Fusion. So that's how it would be useful. Capture everything. That is my suggestion. Capture everything in your notebook. Okay. Don't try take all the points very high level in some spreadsheet or somewhere else. No, literally have a notebook. Treat this as a classroom training and capture everything. So that's how you can just take the benefit out of it. Okay. Now, select go to offerings. Here you could see all the offerings which Oracle is providing. Okay, these are the offerings which Oracle is providing as a solution. If you look at these offerings, one of the offering is financials. Okay, one of the offering is financials. Other offering you can see here procurement. Other offering is procurement. If you talk about SCM, there is no specific SCM bundle as an offering. You have to group few offerings, then it will become SCM offering. The reason Oracle didn't introduce or release all those relevant applications in one go. They released the relevant applications phase by phase. That is the reason those Oracle is given as a separate offerings. If you want to implement SCM, supply chain management solution for any client, the supply chain management primarily consists of order management application, order management solution, and inventory management. Okay, inventory management, which is a part of product management. So along with that, we can combine procurement also. Within the procurement, we use purchasing as a part of supply chain management. Even that is not really part of supply chain management. When we are going to supply to support with the procurement function, we use procurement. If you are going to implement, kind of SCM solution for any client, we should enable order management, product management, and procurement also. If you want to implement HCM, of course, we don't implement anything else apart from finance, but just for our understanding. If we are going to implement HCM for any client, in fact, HCM also you don't see as a single offering. So you have to combine workforce deployment and workforce development. Okay, if you combine these two offerings, that is treated as HCM, human capital management. When you talk about PPM offering, again that got split into two sub offerings. You have to combine, that's how you can implement PPM offering. So project execution management, project financial management. If you combine these two offerings, that is treated as a PPM. So this is how we have a different offerings Oracle is providing as a solutions. Now we want to implement financials. You have to select the offering. Okay, just select this offering. And once you select the offering.
Question.
Yeah.
I was writing and missed it. For SCM solution, we need to enable OM and
OM, product management, and you can include procurement also. Within the procurement, hardly we use purchasing application.
Procurement management, right?
Yeah, just procurement. The name as
okay.
you can
Okay.
take. Yep.
Okay.
Order management, product management. These two, the naming convention they're given as a management, but procurement is not like management, it's action kind of procuring. So that's how it is.
What's the use of the offering manufacturing and the supply chain materials management?
Yeah, these all we can use for manufacturing application. If you are going to implement BOM, bills of material, WIP, work in progress applications, so you can just enable this. So because those applications are tightly connected with the supply chain process. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's how it is. Okay, these are the very diverse offerings which Oracle is providing, so based on their business process, which applications they want to manage their business process, accordingly they can use. Okay, fine. Now, how to enable the offering? Select offering. Here you can see the offering what you are. I think you are not muted. 1 second. Yeah, fine. Select financials. When you select financials, the right side in the panel, you can see the relevant information will be displayed. If I select procurement, if I click on procurement icon, the procurement related, the high level summary you could see. I'm selecting financials and you could see the information. The financials consist of assets. Assets means fixed assets application. Ledgers refers to general ledger application, and cash cycle, it refers to cash management application. Invoices and payments, nothing but accounts payable application. Another application name directly they're given as accounts receivables, and collections is the different application. Apart from that, the subledger accounting is it's not an application, it is a concept which will help you for accounting generation. We'll see, we'll work on that also. And tax configuration. Okay. So in payables or receivables, if you are going to record the transactions when you purchase or when you sell, so what tax need to be applicable? To configure the tax, we have a tax configuration also part of finance. Along with this, we have expense application also as a part of this financials itself, but that they are not addressing as a like included list. Now you can see the status as enabled. This instance we are using for training or practice purpose. That is reason already financials enabled in this environment. If it is a fresh instance, you see the status as not enabled. You see the status as not enabled. When you see the status as not enabled, you have to click on opt-in features tab. What you have to do? In the fresh instance, you see the status as not enabled. You see the status as not enabled. When you see the status as not enabled, you just click on opt-in features. Okay, just click on opt-in features. When you click on opt-in features, it will navigate us to the financials offering related page. Within the financials offering, you can see various options as we discussed: general ledger, accounts payables, account receivables, cash management, fixed assets. This all you can see within the financials offering. Now, what we are going to implement for the client, accordingly we have to enable. Now we are in the financials offering page. Financials. So in the fresh instance, you don't see as enabled. In this instance, already enabled. If it is not enabled, just enable it. When you enable financials, by default, you get general ledger application. You don't have any choice to say yes or no for general ledger. Without general ledger application, you cannot use single application from the fusion applications. General ledger is kind of very foundation of application. Okay, the foundation of application usage we have to build with the general ledger. If you are going to implement financials, by default, you will get general ledger application. So that is the reason here there is no choice for us to enable or disable. And what are the other applications you are implementing? Those you can select. You want to implement payables. The payables, the name they are giving here as a supplier invoice processing. Supplier invoice processing refers to payables. You have to enable it. And within the supplier invoice processing, you can have a supplier related functions, payables invoices, payables payments, in fact, cash management, because when we deal with the payables, you have to process the payments. If you want to process the payments, we need bank account details. The bank account functionality is part of cash management application. That is the reason they are combining the cash management into the payables application. So when you enable supplier invoice processing, you will be able to create and manage the supplier related functions and the payables, invoices, payables payments, and bank account maintenance, nothing but cash management. And expense is a separate application. If you are going to implement for your client, enable expense. If you want to implement fixed assets, enable fixed assets. If you are going to implement receivables, here the name they given as, okay, the name you could see, customer invoice processing. Customer invoice processing is nothing but receivables, accounts receivable. You have to enable. So when you enable customer invoice processing, which is nothing but accounts receivable, within that you will have all these sub functions, receivables, cash management access you will get, items access, is all you will get. And collections, okay, it's a part of this, or it can be just implemented as separate application, that depending on the client subscription. And revenue management, intercompany budgeting, these are not complete applications. These are the separate kind of functionalities. Okay, so this is all just we have to enable. Reality, what you can do is, you know,
One question.
Yeah.
Customer invoice processing, right? If you see, if we click on that one, by default, receivables, cash management, items and so on is automatically selected, right? We don't need to go and sub-select it.
Correct. You don't
And,
have choice. See, if you just group all this, then it will be defined as accounts receivable.
For example, if I am not selecting on the top customer invoice, I want to just use only receivables. Can we do
What
that?
do you mean by receivables?
So in customer invoice processing, we have only receivables, right? There are 4 sub-modules in customer invoice processing.
See, yeah, here receivables, you want to use only, you want to use, what you can do is, without enabling this, you don't get it. It is like parent, it is like child. What you can do is, your requirement is you want to use receivables only. Enable this, when you are using, don't touch this. Yeah.
Okay. Then the next question is, there is cash management here and also cash management in AP and also AR. Is there any relation between those two?
All are same. All are same. You will get access to the bank related pages from anywhere. See,
Okay.
payables, you have to make the payments, you have to manage the bank account details. Receivables, you get the payments from customers that you have to route to bank, right? So in the 2 cases, you need access to bank account. Payables department need access to bank accounts. They have to maintain the bank accounts information. Receivables department also need to maintain the bank accounts information. So you may work for payables or you may work for receivables. You need access to bank accounts. So that's what they included, cash management from these 2 hands.
So the next question is, for example, you said that customer invoice processing is AR. On-prem, is it the same name or is it accounts receivable?
Everywhere. See, because of on-prem and cloud, there is no difference. Only environments are different. Okay. So product point of view, there is no difference. What you
So
see,
the naming, the parent naming is also same in
everything
the.
same, everything, complete solution, naming convention, the way how we do, the way how we implement, the way how we deal with the application, everything is same. Instead of keeping this product in your own server, this product is going to be deployed in Oracle servers. Only the place, the deployment place is different. That's it. No other difference.
Okay.
If it is deployed in your own server, you will have a full control, right? If it is deployed in Oracle servers, there could be certain restrictions, but Oracle is going to help you in all the ways. That's how it is. So product functionality point of view, the way how we deal with the application in these areas, there is no difference. Okay. Fine.
What's the use of that features update icon?
Sorry. Yeah, we'll come.
What's the use?
We'll come to that. We'll come to that. No worries. We will see that. Okay. So this is how we have to enable. Reality, what we do is we no need to carefully select which offering and which option. So you are going to implement financials. Client opted for example, payables, receivables, GL. You have a cash management, you have fixed assets, you have expense, etc. So you can enable all. There is no harm. You can enable all. When you are implementing, you implement what are the applications client take in the subscription. Okay. So nothing wrong if you enable additional options also. You are going to implement AP and AR. If you enable, okay, if you enable fixed assets here, fixed assets also will be available to implement, but you are not going to implement since no subscription your client has from Oracle. Okay, so you can enable everything, nothing will go wrong. You can come to this page, you enable financials, under financials whatever you see, enable everything. But when we are going to do the implementation, when we are going to do the setups, if client taken the subscription for 2 applications, implement 2 applications only. If client taken the subscription for all, we will implement all. So that's how we have to manage with enabling, offering and options. Now, so if you look at financials, for entire financials, there is the futures related section. Means by default, you no need to go and set anything. Everything Oracle will be enabling within the financials as a part of each and every application. There are many features. Those all directly you can implement. So apart from that, if any additional kind of flexibilities or additional privileges you want to set, you want to allow to use in the financials, you can come here and you can enable. But by default, everything will be set. We no need to do anything. Say client is going to use GRC application, governance, risk and complaints, or you can call as a risk management application, risk management cloud applications. So in that case, you can come here and you can enable. Okay, by default enable. And client into say kind of some public sector organization. Okay, you are implementing to the client. So client into some public sector. Okay, so in that case, the relevant checkbox which is available, you can go and enable in this. So by default, everything would be available in your finance, and if anything is not available, for that Oracle is giving the control at financial level. You can come here and enable so that that would be available to implement. By default, you no need to come and enable anything. So to utilize the standard product functionality, just the given, if something is missing, if you are going to implement that, you can enable from this page. In the same way, for each and every application also, they given similar options. Mostly all will be enabled. We no need to go and enable. If any functionality is not available, if the control they are giving in this page, just we have to visit this page and we have to make sure the relevant future is enabled so that we will be able to implement as per the client requirement. Okay. So by default, we no need to set anything. You just navigate to this page. You enable the offerings and options which you are going to implement for your client. That would be enough. If there is specific requirement, you can come back and you can check whether that is available or not. If available, enabled or not, you can check. That's how you can just implement that specific functionality. In the same way you see for other applications also, but by default, you don't need to set anything. So this is how you can enable offerings and options by navigating to this page. In the same way, if you want to enable the offerings and another offering called as procurement options, what we have inside of the procurement, you just select procurement. We'll have a just kind of high level understanding what applications we have as a part of procurement offering, just to understand. Okay, we are not going to deal with a procurement offering. Of course, we'll come across with the basic process in the system. We'll set up a few things in the inventory purchasing and we'll work on that process. But that is not our cup of coffee. And just we'll go on to see what applications we have inside of procurement. For that reason, we are navigating to procurement. Select procurement, click on opt-in features. So within the procurement, the key application is purchasing application. The key application is purchasing. Along with that, we have few applications like procurement contracts. Okay, application like self-service procurement, which you can call as iProcurement, and supplier portal. Okay, you can call as iSupplier or supplier portal. So these are the very primary applications which we have in the procurement. So if any client is going to opt for procurement, they'll be having options to choose those applications. Now you can see the names. Within the procurement, we have a purchasing. And again, we have other options called as self-service procurement. It is nothing but iProcurement. Online, you can connect to the supplier portal and you can just procure from their website. How we purchase from Amazon. In the same way, so we can connect to their e-commerce application, supplier e-commerce application. You can just select into your cart and you can place the order from our Fusion applications by using the application called as self-service procurement application. And here you can see other applications like supplier portal and sourcing application, procurement contracts. These all are the different applications part of procurement offering. Anyway, we will just touch base the purchasing application when we are working on the specific process flow or cycle. Just for our information, we navigated, we no need to do anything. So that's how we have to enable offerings and options which we are going to implement for the client. Who should enable? Anyone can enable. So you can enable if you are a finance consultant, or else you can enable if you are a SCM consultant. So who knows how to enable offerings and options? That person can enable irrespective of the person. The consultant is belongs to which track. It may belongs to finance track or SCM, HCM, PPM, doesn't matter. So you can go and enable, which is a simple, pretty easy task. Then after enabling, what we have to do? If you want to create implementation project, yes, we can create implementation project and we can do the setups from implementation project. When you say implementation project, it is just for the purpose of doing the setups. Implementation project is nothing but, it's not like the execution of the project. Execution of the project, it's a different, and doing the setups in the system, that is a one of the activity out of project execution. Okay, so again, that is not mandatory. Creating implementation project is not mandatory. Generally, we don't do the setups from implementation project, but anyway, we'll create after some time to understand how to create, what we can do with implementation project, when we may create implementation project. By default, implementation project is not required. Generally, when we are working any project also, you don't create any implementation project in instance. Directly, you can jump into configuration part. So first task is creating implementation user. The second task is enabling offerings and options. The third task, what would be the third task, we'll see. So when we are working as a financial consultant, okay, when we are working as a financial consultant, so you have to create a few components ready in the system so that we can start recording the transactions in the system. If you want to record the transactions in the system, what components we call as a components, okay, what components we have to keep ready. So when you record the business transaction in the system, every transaction we have to capture by tagging the date. When you are performing that activity, it could be buying or selling, or it could be internal activity. You have to track with a specific date when the activity occurred. The date you have to capture. Okay. You did some activity, you capture the transaction and you taken the date. Fine. So on which date you did that activity. Now what activity you did? Purchased or sold or spent some expense. What activity you did, that you have to describe. For that you have to write the description. You have to write the description, nothing but details. The detailed information of that activity. Okay, what are the tasks you are performing, the details of the task, the details of the activity. Okay, so if you are purchasing, yes, what you are purchasing, you have to describe it. Again, as a company, when you are purchasing, what you purchasing, which company is involving, which department is involving, you have to include all the details. By summarizing that information, you have to write the description for every transaction. So you have to capture when you are doing that activity, kind of buying or selling or another activity or another task, and the detailed information you have to capture, which company is doing, which department involved, and what exact activity you did. Along with that, what is the value of the transaction you purchased. Okay, on which date what you purchased, yes, you are capturing as a date and description. But what is the value of the purchase? What is the, how much expense you are spending, like how much, amount is involved in that activity, that you have to write. Means you have to write the amount information also. Okay, so these are very, very critical information when you record the transaction. Okay, so date, okay, description and amount. These are the three components we have to capture in each and every transaction to keep your business transactions more meaningful, and so that that information you can use for the various purposes. You can use for reporting, you can use for analysis, you can use to understand what exactly, when it happened, what happened, with how much amount. In the different dimensions, this data you can use to just to understand, or to just to analyze, or to produce the reports. In different aspects, this data you can utilize. Now, so as a finance consultant, we have to keep these components ready so that finance team or SCM team, PPM team, all the teams are in any track, they can use this data to record the respective business transactions as per their business functions. If there belongs to finance, in the finance, they can record the transactions with a which date, what activity they did, how much amount. If the team is belongs to SCM, supply chain management, supply chain management team, they can record their transaction, what they are selling, buying, with the date, description, and amount. Anything you take, HCM, PPM, or take any other offering, so they'll be able to record the meaningful transactions in the respective areas of business. Now, we'll go one by one. Okay, date, one component, description is another component, amount is the third component. How to deal with these components within the Fusion applications? When we are going to implement Fusion applications for any client, we have to keep these components ready. How to keep these ready? So first we'll take the date. So when you talk about date, all the dates and all you can maintain with a calendar. It's very simple. If you want to capture the dates when you record the transaction, you have to maintain the calendar. Within the calendar, you can have a dates and you can have a months also. Okay. So typically we use period as a month in any business. So so that we get just month we call as standard period for any business. If you look at the calendar, by default we go with the measurement as a months. Okay, of course there could be weeks in the months, days in the months, okay, etc. But the very primary measurement is month we take as a period. Now, so to capture the date in the system when you record the transaction, within the Fusion applications, we have to create calendar. You have to create the calendar. Okay, we can create the calendar. How to create the calendar? What are the points we have to take into consideration when you create the calendar in the system? When you create the calendar in the system, what are the points we have to take into consideration? Say you are implementing for one client, the client is belongs to India. Now you should know what is the financial year in the India. By following the India financial year, you have to create the calendar. If you have any Indian client, if you are implementing the Fusion applications, you create the calendar. You create the calendar from April to March. If you are implementing for any US client, you create the calendar from Jan to December. If you are implementing for the client who belongs to X country, their financial year could be maybe July to June. Doesn't matter whether their financial year spanning across the years, means starting in one year and ending in another year. It starts and ends in the same year like US or UAE. The same you have to create in the system as a calendar. Okay. So within the system, whatever the calendar you are going to create for the client, that need to be derived based on the country financial year. Okay, that you have to take inputs from the country financial year. What is the financial year in that country? That financial year you have to create as a calendar in the system. Okay, the primary element to decide the calendar creation in the system is the country financial year. Fine. So what is the period we use? When you create the calendar, what period we use? The very standard period is month. Okay, monthly. You can treat day as a period. You can treat week as a period. You can treat quarter as a period. You can treat half year as a period. And year also you can treat as one period. But very standard period what we use typically in the calendar is that is a monthly. Now, you are going to create the calendar by following the country financial year, and by default the period type would be monthly. Okay, the period type you can call. Okay, period type would be monthly. When you say period type is monthly, it could be any country financial year. You will have a 12 periods. Okay, you'll have a 12 standard periods. But in our application, we have a flexibility to maintain additional periods. Okay, you can have additional periods. Additional periods. When you create the calendar in the system for US, period type is monthly. Yes, 12 periods we have to create, Jan to December. Along with the 12, you can have additional periods. It could be 1, 2, 3, 4. You can just go up to specific number as per your need you want to create. Why we have to create these additional periods? The additional periods are mandatory? No. So the 12 periods are mandatory. If you are creating accounting calendar or calendar with the period type monthly, in a month you can have a 12 periods. So you don't need to create any additional periods by default, but Oracle is giving the flexibility to create additional periods. The additional periods we use for to record the adjustment transactions. Say you are closing your books end of the year. When you are closing the books, say your financial year is Jan to December. In the December month, you will be closing your books because you are going to enter into new financial year. When you are closing the books for the entire year, there may be some adjustments which are not pretty much clear for you by the time. There could be some payments due from the customer, but you are not very sure whether they are going to pay or not. You are suspecting, since they did pay for quite a long period, you are treating those could fall into the bad debts, or you want to pass some adjustments. You may want to pass some kind of provisions. So based on the current state of your business, where you are standing, what you are doing, what activities struck where, based on that, you may want to pass some adjustment entries, some adjustments you want to pass. So such kind of adjustments you can pass in the December month. Okay, that is the last period in your financial year for that specific financial year. So you can pass those in the last period of the financial year. Apart from that, okay, if you want to pass those in additional period, yes, you can have a separate period, but it is not mandatory. That is a flexibility Oracle is giving. Whatever the additional periods you create in the calendar, those you can call as adjustment periods. Okay, standard periods are mandatory, adjustment periods are not mandatory. Some clients they'll use, some clients they says no, we don't need any adjustment periods within the calendar. Everything will manage within the real periods. So even if you want to pass some adjustment entries, we use the respective period only. We don't need, some client says, but it's always good if they have adjustment period. Now they may not require adjustment period, maybe down the line, say after 5 years, 6 years, 10 years, if they need additional period as adjustment periods, their business may take the decision, hey, let's pass adjustment entries in the separate period. But they don't have adjustment period in the calendar at the time of implementation. If you include the adjustment period, that they can use in the future or immediately. If you don't include the adjustment period in the calendar, so in the future, if the requirement will pop up, they cannot have an adjustment period in the calendar. It's a one-time decision. Calendar creation is one-time decision. Whatever the calendar we create, they have to use that for the company lifetime. So that is reason even they don't need adjustment period at this point of time. Always as a consultant we recommend. Better you can have at least one adjustment period end of the year. In future, if you want to use any additional period, this period you can use to pass the adjustment entries. Till the time all your adjustments you may enter in the last period of your financial year. But in future, if required, you can use. In future also, you don't require, leave it. It will be just lying in your calendar as a additional option. It is not going to disturb anything. So that's how we have to recommend the client to have a adjustment period. It may not be required now, they may need in the future. So we have to have a kind of prediction, so they may need in the future. So that is our responsibility to educate the client the importance of adjustment period. If not now, at least they may need in the future. Still, if client is not listening to us, we can't do anything. We create the calendar with 12 periods only. In future, if they need, they cannot accommodate adjustment periods in calendar, which is already in.
So
Okay.
one question here,
Yep.
adjustment periods, this calendar fiscal year calendar will show quarters and months in cloud ERP or any
Yes,
ERP.
by default, it will show. You no need to create. When you create Jan, Feb, March, system has a capability. These three it will group into first quarter.
Okay. And next question is adjustment periods. For example, if client wanted 4 adjustment periods, can we create each adjustment period in one quarter?
No,
Like
no.
3
You,
standard months plus 1 adjustment
you
month.
cannot create quarter wise. If you want to have, you can have as a 4 adjustment periods. Manually, you have to set those adjustment periods you are going to use when you have to set. Directly, you cannot go and specify, hey, for first quarter, this is adjustment period. Second quarter, this is adjustment. That's how you cannot create. You can just create 4 and you can align with the dates when you are going to use those adjustment periods. We'll see that in the system.
So adjustments periods, generally general ledger will be closed every month, right? So adjustments periods, can I keep open for n number of years? When I need, then only I can close. For example, 2020 is already passed. I want to keep the adjustments periods open until 5 years or 7 years. Can we do that?
Yeah, you can do anything. System will support. System will support. See, adjustment periods, you are not recording any real business transactions. Some temporary entries. Okay. The temporary entry you are passing, later you will be reversing that entries. You are not going to take some action on those transactions which you are maintaining within the adjustment period as a business activity. So that's how it is. Again, these adjustment periods you will be using within the GL application. Okay, normally these adjustment periods you won't be using in the real applications where you record the real business transactions like your payables, receivables, and all. So there we don't use these adjustment periods. We use only in the GL application.
Can these adjustment periods will be shown in additional modules like procurement or
No.
HCM and so on?
No.
Only in GL only they will be shown.
Only GL. Only
Okay.
GL. Because you are not supposed to enter any transactions in the adjustment periods in the subledger applications like payables, receivables, assets, purchasing, order management, etc.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sir, I have a doubt.
please.
If we are entering an adjustment entry this month, so, but it is something which has been like for the maybe of the past financial year or the 2 financial years earlier. So where it will be reflecting? It will be reflecting in your general ledgers,
Yeah,
the entity in the
always.
current period, or it will reflect in the past financial year entry as.
Yeah, all the time the adjustment entries we pass in the GL only. When we pass the adjustment in the GL, the date what on which date you are recording, accordingly that information will be reflected in the system. Okay, it may belongs to your past or current or future related transaction data. System will look at the date. Okay, with what date that real transaction or adjustment entry we are passing, its system will see accordingly the amounts it will get updated with the respective accounts.
Okay.
And we
In the current month only it will reflect.
Sorry.
So it will be reflecting in the current month only. The current
Exactly. Current month with the respective date.
see, now we are in 2024, right? I want to make adjustments for 2022 adjustment period 1. So date may be based on system date or something it takes, but but I can record the adjustment entry even for the past years as well, right?
No,
So I need to select the year.
no.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
So if you want to do adjustments, entries, what you can do is go back to that period. Okay. So all generally what we do is we close the periods every month end. Now we are in the say April month. When we are moving to May month, April month we close because we should
Correct.
not allow the business users to go back and enter the transactions. When we record the transactions April month, we do the closing activities and we do the kind of reconciliation. We'll cross check everything is syncing or any variance is popping up. What is the difference? This all we have to work on it. Kind we call as reconciliation. We'll come across in our classes. So once you done, once you finalized, once you freeze that period kind of closing, if you are going back and if you are opening, it will allow you to again enter. But whatever you finalized again, everything is going to be disturbed. Still, if you want to do, you can do it. So always we have option to go back and enter, do some transaction entries and doing some adjustments in the previous months also. But by sitting in the current month, you cannot do the adjustments for the past periods. No. In that case, reopen those periods which you closed. You want to do some adjustments for 2022, then go to 2022 period, specific period, reopen and you do your adjustments. That's it. In current period, now we are in the May month.
But that
May
will
month, one second. In May month, you can record anything. It may be real business transaction or adjustment entries by aligning with the May month dates only. You cannot take April month dates also. System won't allow. Okay.
But you mentioned adjustments periods can be open for forever. So
I didn't
then
mention. I didn't mention.
Okay.
What I mentioned is adjustment periods we use in the GL application only. You ask the question. Okay.
Yeah.
You ask the question saying, can I keep those open all the time? You asked. I said yes, you can keep it. You can do anything I mentioned.
But not for the past periods. Adjustments can only for the current
That is the
period.
business decision. They take always very smart decisions. They don't go back and reopen and entering
Yeah.
adjustments where it is not going to create mess, right? They don't do that. Flexibility is there. Okay. So maybe 5 years ago period you can open and you can do something. But who is focusing on that period now after 5
So
years?
generally, I saw that some companies where they have a bad report.
That is a very bad practice. That is a very bad practice. Yeah. Flexibility is right.
When auditors come and they found something, they go back 3 quarters, something like that. Generally, financial data audited for 5 years, and you need to keep track of the data for 5 years to 7 years, right?
Yes.
And whenever SEC or somebody finds that information, and it is they want to find out, we found this discrepancy and how you come across, what you do on this one, like that they did. I am not sure. And generally, for example, in this case, if you go back and reopen for a quarter, generally come back to 1 quarter of periods we reopened and made some adjustment. And if I want to come back to the current period to do the process, how much time it will take?
Nothing. There is no connection. There is no connection between that quarter, that period, and with the current. There is nothing is going to hit your current period. You entered something, you have to settle, you have to do all those in that period only. So in the system point of view, it's matter of minutes. Okay.
Yes, correct.
You can go to any year, any period, and you can open with just one click. You say reopen, it will be reopened.
Yeah, just clicking and reopening is fine, but I want to reconcile the data and so on. And if it is a big company like Cisco or IBM, generally how much time it will take? I know that generally they post 3 GB of.
Yeah, got it. It's a pretty much simple as per our application. Oracle is given one process. You have to submit, it will fetch the data from the different application, it will show the balances are matching or is there any variance. If any variance, because of which transaction or because of which issue the variance encountered, it will display. Then they have to take the action, then they can make sure that is getting reconciled. Okay, it depends.
Yes.
We cannot say that. If it's a small company, big company, it doesn't matter. Here, how much discrepancy you have, based on that, it takes time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Any other questions here, please? Any questions to understand about
Where
this?
will this adjustment entry be recorded, like in the balance sheet? Because you're saying there will be a reversal entry being created in the
Yeah,
system.
just temporary purpose. Temporary purpose because you have to show that balances information also in the relevant financial reports, right? I'll give you simple example. Okay, I'll give you simple example. Say for example, you are creating, so kind of let me take uh, TB, trial balance, or else if not trial balance, balance sheet. Okay, so in balance sheet, which items will have assets and liabilities, right? Okay, you have to capture assets and liabilities. Now you placed one purchase order for 1 lakh and you received material. You received material worth of 1 lakh. But invoice is not created. Okay, invoice is not created. Now you are preparing the balance sheet. Say, if you create invoice, that information you will take into consideration as a liability, what you have to pay to the supplier. Okay, you received, you have to pay 1 lakh, but this receipt is not turned into invoice. No invoice is created. Okay, no invoice. Since no invoice with this 1 lakh, that 1 lakh liability, it will not show in your balance sheet. But when you are going to prepare the report, say already you have a liability of 25 lakhs. And reality you have 1 more lakh. But with that invoice is not created, that is the reason that will not be reported as a liability when you prepare the report. Now what you will do, you will enter that 1 lakh here as an adjustment entry with the liability account. Now when you generate the report, if you select that account, it will fetch the 25 as well as it will fetch that 1 lakh from the adjustment entry. You will get the real picture of 26 lakhs is your liability. Once you create invoice or before you create invoice, you will go and reverse it. Anyway, you are creating invoice, you are updating as per your standard process. So that's how, just for a temporary purpose, you can pass some adjustment entries. That's all. Hope it is clear. Yeah. Any other questions, please? Any questions from anyone about this calendar? Fine. Now we'll go and see how to create the calendar in the system. When you create the calendar in the system, that you can call as accounting calendar also. Accounting calendar. With the calendar, we capture the date. With the date only, we do the accounting also. With accounts, we use the different accounts. So based on what activity you are doing, that is the reason the calendar you can call as accounting. With the dates only, we do the accounting also. If you are not aware of what does it mean by accounting, we'll come across very soon. We'll see that. Fine. So now we'll go and create the accounting calendar for specific country. Go to our instance. Now to create accounting calendar in the system, you have to go to FSM. Already we are in the FSM page, but we'll take the navigation once again. So if you want to create calendar in the system or call as accounting calendar, click on username and click on setup and maintenance task, and make sure you are selecting financials offering. Okay, you have to select financials offering. After selecting the financials offering, here we have a search field. Search for calendar related task. Any setup we do in the system that we call as a task. Okay, anything you do in the system almost we call as a task. Now task name is accounting calendar. Okay, task name is accounting calendar. So you search for accounting calendar from the search field. Accounting calendar. You no need to write the complete name. You can enter the partial name. It can fetch. Okay, instead of writing calendar, I'm just giving partial name, accounting calendar. Search. Now here is the task. Manage accounting calendars. Okay, task name is manage accounting calendars. Just click on the task. It got hyperlink. Now we are in manage accounting calendars page. When we are working for your client, you don't see any sample calendars. This instance we are using for practice purpose. You will see many calendars. When we are working for your client, for each country you create one calendar. That too, if those countries has a distinct calendars, distinct financial years. Say you are implementing for one client is operating the business in India and US. So India calendar is different from US calendar. So US calendar Jan to December, India calendar April to March. Now definitely you create two calendars since two countries has their own financial years. Now another use case, you are implementing for one client who is operating the business in US and UAE. UAE and US follows same financial year, Jan to December. So now you can create one calendar. That calendar you can use for two countries. So that's how we have to decide how many calendars we have to create. 10 countries, 10 calendars are not required. Out of 10 countries, maybe for 6 countries, calendar may be same, Jan to December. Remaining 4 countries may be different, completely different, or else within the two countries it could be same. Okay, you may have to create total 3 or total 2, or maybe 10 countries financial years are same, maybe one calendar. So that's how we have to decide. By default, in the fresh instance, you don't see sample calendars. When you navigate to this page, this is how this page would be blank. We have to create the calendar from this page. Let's see how to create the calendar. Click on plus icon. To create the calendar, click on plus icon. I'll just repeat the navigation. So first click on username, click on setup and maintenance. Hope you are taking all these points. You have to capture. Okay, you have to capture all this. This all will help you for your practice. And make sure the scope selection is finance, financials offering you selected. Now search for accounting calendar. So here search results you can see, which are matching with relevant naming. Now click on manage accounting calendars. The task name is manage accounting calendars. Now this task will take us to the relevant page. Now we are in the calendar creation page. You can see many calendars which are already created in this instance for practice purpose. Okay, in client instance, real instance, you will not find any calendars. You will find blank page like this, and we have to start creating how many calendars they require. Okay, for one country, you don't need more than one calendar. The same one calendar can be used for other countries also. For other countries, financial years also same as this country. Now click on plus icon. Okay, click on plus icon. And here we have to provide few inputs. Based on the inputs, automatically system can create calendar with all the periods and dates. So the name field has certain limitation in terms of text what you enter. The limited characters only it will allow. So don't plan to write the long name. Okay, give the short name. Okay. So I'll give the name as ADP. See, I'll try to write ADP accounting calendar. Not taking. That's it. So limited text it allows. So you give short name kind ACC CAL. Okay, ADP ACC CAL. And what is the start date? You can write the description. If you want to write the description, you can write it. It is optional. You can say ADP accounting calendar for US. Okay. And start date. When you talk about US financial year, the start date is Jan 1st. Right here, select Jan 1st. And period frequency is monthly. Okay. Ideally, default we use monthly only. Oracle given the options. You can go with a yearly, weekly, quarterly, right? So different options they're given for the flexibility. Ideally, we use always monthly. Now, here period name format. Okay.
When creating the calendar, we can go past the system date, right?
Yes, you can. You can create calendar from last year.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can do that. So period name. Okay. So this is how system is taking the period name. This is how it will create the periods and it will create the date range for the periods. The format you can select here. Whether you want period format as a month and year, month in 3 characters, year in 2 characters, or you want to go with some other format, maybe this format. So complete year you will display and month. Okay, or like this. So you can choose. Okay, you can choose what is the period format you require. Okay, what is the period format you require? Select it. So you can just use this. Okay, month in 3 characters, year in 2 characters, which is the suffix of the year. Done. Now, when system is going to create the period name like this, these need to be separated with what? Now you can see it's separated with a hyphen that you can set. You want to separate with a slash, you want to see period name with a month and year separated by slash, or else none. You don't want to separate, you want to combine those. You can set here. By default, you can keep as a separator as a hyphen only. Mostly that is the one we use. And user defined prefix, really not required, but they given. If you want to set some prefix, if you set X, every period will be created X John, X Feb, March, etc. So we don't use it. The given flexibility, just let's try to understand. Now, how many adjustment periods you want to create, that you can set here. Adjustment period frequency. Already we discussed, it is not mandatory. It is not mandatory. You should have adjustment periods in your calendar. Okay. So we have a multiple options. Okay, we have a multiple options. So you may set once at beginning of year and once at end of the year. Once mid-year, once at year end. Once mid-year, twice at year end. One in the mid of the year, 2 at end of the year. Or once at year, twice at year, or none. You don't want to go with adjustment periods. Or you can say other. When you say other, you can give the count, how many adjustment periods you want to have. And quarterly. Okay. So you can just have like quarterly means it will create the four adjustment periods. So this is how you can choose. Generally in implementation, we use once at year end. Okay, once at year end. So
So
already
it means
discussed.
We have the option quarterly, so every quarter one adjustment period it can create, right, within that quarter.
Yes.
Or
Yes, you can align with the dates. It will just by default it will create. So it will take one day only for the entire quarter adjustment or anything. You will have option. Once it will create, we'll see that it will create by default date range. You can modify that. If you take like quarterly, yes, every quarter it will create one. But dates you have to set. Dates you have to change how you need. So that's how it is. So we discussed one point. It's always recommended that we have to suggest one adjustment period at least in the calendar. If you try with none, you will get a message from system also. It is recommended that you define at least one adjustment period at end of the year to accommodate your potential adjustment entries. So that is a just kind of warning message from the system. So still, if you want to continue, you can continue. And I am not okay with these options. I want to go with other. Other means you can give how many adjustment periods you want. So how many adjustment periods system allows, we'll see. I'm trying with 100. Now it will give the message how many are allowed. Okay. Okay, 100 I given, no message, means 100 it will allow. Now I'll give 500. Now we'll get a message. Okay. So click on what's this? One second. Just click on next. So you have a message here. Okay, once you click on next, you can enter up to 55 adjustment periods. So that is a maximum adjustment periods you can create in the calendar. But generally nobody will create. Ideally you use always one. If required, maybe in the beginning of year one and end of the year, or sometimes maybe quarterly. Some clients may choose. Most of the clients, 99% clients will go with one adjustment period end of the financial year. Okay, the maximum number of adjustment periods are allowed is 55. That just make a note. Now just give the name, and here you can choose one set event. And this accounting calendar, what we are creating, okay, we can use for budgeting, or for budget purpose we can create the separate calendar. If you are creating separate calendar for budgeting, so you can enable the checkbox. We'll see, we'll deal with the budget concept. That time we'll come across this checkbox and we'll discuss. But now our target is calendar creation. We are giving the name. Optionally, you can provide the description and start date, the financial year start date, and period frequency. What is the period type you want to use, and how you want to separate that period naming convention in between month and year, and what is the format, and how many adjustment periods you require. These are the basic inputs you have to provide. Based on these inputs, system has a capacity to create the entire financial year. Now it will create periods from Jan to December, and plus one more period as adjustment period, and it will specify which is adjustment period, which are the standard periods, and Jan starts with which date, ends with which date, and Jan falls under which quarter. All these details automatically system will generate. We'll see that. After providing all these inputs, just hit next. Our calendar created. See all the periods, period names. So Jan to December plus one adjustment period. How system will understand this period as adjustment? So here the checkbox is enabled, system enabled. See here, adjusting period. These all periods are not adjusting. These are the standard periods. So which is adjusting period, system is marking. If you look at Jan, Jan starts with the 1st and ends with 31st of Jan. Feb starts with the 1st and ends with the, since it is 24, 29, and March 1st to 31st. And automatically system is taking the Jan, Feb, March 3 belongs to one quarter. April, May, June belongs to second quarter. And count also it is taking. And the adjustment period it is taking in the fourth quarter. If you look at the dates for adjustment period, it is taking only 1 day, 31st to 31st. If you want to change, you can change it. Okay, you can change it, is okay. The adjustment period dates can be overlapped with the standard periods. Okay, normal periods dates should not be overlapped. Please go on mute. Please go on mute.
I have a question.
Please.
Here, you see that only for 1 year we are creating periods. Does it mean we need to create calendars for every year when you are
No. We'll come to that point. That would be the next point. Yeah, we'll see that. We no need to create. We never create every year calendar. In the same calendar, we will accommodate other year periods also. Yeah, we can add the periods in the same calendar for 2025, 2026. That is the next point which we are going to discuss. Yeah, we'll see. Fine. Here.
Okay.
Sir, I have a question.
Please.
Since we have a selected period frequency as monthly, that's the reason it has created this all like monthly, right? Month wise.
Correct. Month wise, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. If you select quarterly, it will create 4 periods only.
Okay.
Yeah.
Understood. Thank you.
Fine. Okay. So now what we are discussing here is dates. Okay, adjustment period, it is taking only 1 day, 31st to 31st. If you want to change, you can change, or else you can accept as it is. Now, so you click on save. Once you click on save, system will allow you to create the periods for upcoming years also. Now we created only for 2024, right? Save it. So once you save it, it will enable one tab to generate the periods for next year, next. So we create only one calendar for one country. Every year we don't create separate calendars. So the same calendar, within the same calendar, we have to maintain the periods for all the years. That's how it works.
So for adjustment period, you are selecting the date range. Does it mean whatever the transactions whatever the adjustments we are making, we need to select only in the date range, right? For example, if you say 31st to 30.
That is meaning with any period. Okay.
Oh, yeah, correct.
1st to 31st means Jan month. If you are going to record the transactions, the transaction should belongs to these dates only. In the same way, if you are going to record the transactions in the adjustment period, how many periods you have, you can choose any one of the date and you can enter. Now only one date by default system is taking. You may make it as 1 week, or else you may make it as entire month also. Yeah, within those dates only you can record the transaction in that period. Correct. Yep. Fine. Now, after saving this calendar creation, you could see one tab called as add year. If you hit this add year, so the next year, okay, so the current year is 24, and next year periods it will create automatically. From which period it will start? Jan 25. Okay, first period is going to be in the next year is Jan 25. Means it will start from Jan 25 and it will create all the periods. If you hit this add year tab, click on add year and just save it. Already it is created, but anyway, you just save it. Okay. If you save, it will allow you to create one more year also. Okay. This tab will get enabled once the periods whatever generated. If you save, it will allow you to create the periods for next year also. See, now 25 financial year also we have periods ready. Now we cannot add one more adjustment period. Once calendar is created, we don't have any scope. See here, adjustment period frequency, this field is freezed. You cannot change the rule of no, we need 2 adjustment periods now. It's a one-time decision. Okay, so one-time decision. So now you have periods for 2 years. Okay, 25 and 24. All you can see in one go. If you want to create the periods for next year, just click on add year. So this is how we can create accounting calendar. So for multiple years, like all the years, you'll be able to add the periods in the same calendar. We don't need to create separate calendars for every year. Only one calendar, all the years can be, all the year related periods can be accommodated into the same period, same year, same calendar. So this is a story about accounting calendar, or say simply calendar. Any questions from anyone, please?
So here we are creating calendars. Is it the first step we need to do, or create the ledger first, then create the calendar?
No. This is the first. This is the first. Okay.
Okay. And we assign the calendars to the legal entity, or
Yes. All in the sequence. We are going in the sequence. Okay.
okay.
This is a like kind of a series you have to follow. First, we'll create the calendar. Then we'll keep your description part ready and currency ready. These all you'll group. You'll create something. Then, as you mentioned, legal entity, etc., etc. Those all will create. Okay. So first we have
So
to create calendar.
one calendar year can be applicable to all subledgers, right? Procurement,
All the
whatever.
applications we use the same. Okay, the same calendar we use when you record the transaction, the GL, APR, CM, FA, purchasing, order management, project applications, manufacturing applications. We use across, okay, across the board.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Lakshman.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So for the 2024 year, if the adjustment period I'm giving as once at the year end, but for 2025, if I want to give it to quarterly, once in every quarterly, so is
Not
there an option?
possible. Not possible. See, the rule is applicable for entire calendar level. It's a calendar level rule, not year level rule, right?
Okay.
We cannot do that. So you have to take only one decisions, not two decisions in one calendar. For 1 year, like end of the year, another year, two, we need no. It is not possible. So calendar
Okay.
level, we have to set the rule. How many you need? The same applicable for all the years.
Okay.
Sir, one
Right.
question. If I create another one more calendar in the next financial year, so accordingly my adjacent period frequency can be changed now that time.
Yeah, we can do that, but we don't use those many calendars for one country.
Okay, sir. Okay.
See, now definition point of view, you are correct. But going
Yes.
forward, these calendar, we are going to accommodate into something somewhere, right? There we can choose only one calendar. Now you have two.
Okay.
Which one you need? Only one you have to choose. Yep. That's
Okay, sir. Got it. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sometimes mergers and acquisitions happens, right? And the
Correct.
same entities can be used by the holding entity, holding company, and their calendar. They are asking us to change the calendar year. So after a couple of years, once we implemented this ERP system, and because this company is purchased by some other, then we can go and create new calendars, and we can assign to the legal locations, right? New calendar from that year onwards.
Yeah. For existing solution, you cannot change. Okay. Say this company acquired another company. Okay. That company, what IT infrastructure means, what technology they are using, you will come to know. They are using some another accounting system. Now you are going to onboard that company business solution in Fusion applications.
Yeah.
As per that country or as per that business, how you require, yes, you can create. Or else, instead of creating, since country is same, you may align that business operation related configuration also in the same environment with the same calendar. Both are possible. Or else,
No, there.
or else we have additional layer also that you will understand going forward related to ledgers and all. There you can build additional layer. So For one business, maybe one calendar, for other business, another calendar, but ultimately you want to do the reporting with one financial year. Okay. So that is also possible. Those are the different concepts which we come across, but you cannot manage with the calendar.
No, what you said is right. My question is, sometimes even though company is acquired, but it takes 2 to 3 years to merge the acquired company into the acquisition company.
Correct.
During that time, the acquired company,
No. One
we
second.
are asking-
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'll take the just simple example. There is a company X and there is a
No,
company.
I got it. What my question is,
Yeah.
in the acquired company is asking the company which acquired are asking to change the calendar year so that I can accommodate your data into my reporting system.
No. Yeah. I got it. See, here company X, they are using Oracle applications. They acquired company Y. Okay.
They are also using Oracle.
Yeah. They are using Y also using Oracle.
Yes,
Oh.
but their calendar year is April to March.
We cannot change. Okay.
Yeah, that
We
is.
cannot change. Maybe country same, or if country is same, ideally it would be same. If countries are different, it would be different calendar. But we have other alternative solution for that. These things we cannot change. Here they are
Yeah.
using one calendar, maybe Jan to December. Here it may be April to March. But what company X is asking Y is, hey, just you change the calendar. Not possible.
Correct.
Once
Okay.
calendar is created, once you started using, we cannot change. Even Oracle also cannot help us, but they are giving some additional framework. What you will do is, you will create something else with the required calendar. Okay, maybe Jan to December. You create. Here you have Jan to December. Here you have April to March.
Yeah.
Now, these calendars will be maintained. This will be like advanced if I talk about now, but only I am trying to answer you. Others don't take it. So here this calendar will be part of one ledger. This calendar will be part of another ledger.
Correct. Yeah.
Here we'll create another ledger.
Correct.
So these two we will be mapping into this ledger so that the data which is here and here, it will be aligned with the Jan to December. Your X company requirement is that only, right? This data also they want.
Yes, correct.
Or else create one more ledger. They'll be recording the transactions by following that country financial year, April to March, but the data will be reported into another ledger, which is maintained in the Jan to December. So this Y business data, now they are going to get in the form of Jan to December. Maybe here Jan to December, here Jan to December. They may produce the financial reports the same time.
So if we create another ledger, but transactions are reported only, for example,
automatically it will go here.
And we create Y ledger and automatically Y whatever data is
we'll create the G.
G in where? In X?
XY we have, right? XY we have.
G we create in Y ERP or X ERP?
Y.
Oh, yeah, correct.
This you connect. Y you connect to G, and Y data will come into G, and X need. X will take data from G, which is Y, which is transformed into as per their requirement.
Okay.
Yeah. These all are pretty much possible, but what is available you cannot change, but you can achieve with a different kind of approaches.
Is this complicated or?
No, pretty simple, standard functionality.
Okay.
Yeah. That's it.
So is there any difference between accounting calendar and fiscal calendar?
See, the calendar, what you create, okay, what you create in the system, your physical calendar, okay, see, different naming conventions. See,
okay, sir.
Naming conventions, it's all finance layer only. See, when you say physical calendar and standard, just calendar. The difference is, it starts normal calendar. Standard means it follows the calendar periods, Jan to December. Physical means it will start in 1 year and ends in another year.
Okay, April to March.
That is the meaning of physical. Means fiscal year means it's a kind of 2 years integration. Okay, it starts in 1 year, it ends in the next year. But calendar year means same year. That's it. But ultimately, it doesn't matter for us. The country calendar is physical calendar or calendar year, doesn't matter ultimately. So we take that as accounting calendar. This is one country financial year. This is another country financial year, right? So country financial year can follow the calendar year or physically calendar year. Physical year.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Yeah. So this you can call as physical year. A country calendar, okay, could be physical year calendar or calendar year. Doesn't matter for us, whatever it may be. So that is a financial year in that country. We'll create in the system as an accounting calendar. That's all.
Okay. Okay.
Financial calendar and accounting calendar are synonyms, right? There is no difference.
Synonyms, kind of synonyms, but there is a slight difference also. Generally, when you refer physical, okay, not financial, we are not calling financial, physical. Physical
Yeah.
means it will span across 2 years.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the meaning of physical. Ideally, we refer. So when you say calendar, it's fixed. When you say calendar, always starts Jan. Doesn't forget about which country, financial year, etc. Calendar starts with a Jan. That is a calendar year. Physical year, it can start at any point of time. Yeah, that's the meaning. Any other questions here, please?
Yeah, Lakshman, this is not related to this topic. Can you share the video recordings of the
So video recordings, are you talking about this current
no,
batch?
class? Yeah, current class.
Yeah, these last 3 class videos we uploaded in the YouTube itself. Okay, maybe
Okay,
after 1 or
okay,
2 classes, what I will do is I'll create the separate Google Drive for your batch.
okay.
I'll be just posting all the videos in the drive. You will have access, you can download or you can play. So that is the
Okay.
actual plan. So for now, what are the sessions we completed? I think 3 sessions completed. The 3 videos available in the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Or else you can
Okay.
get from our team or you directly you can browse from the channel.
Yeah. Okay. Can you also share the real-time videos? 15 hours. I didn't get it.
Those hope you received previous batch videos, right?
Yeah, but I got only the interview preparation video. I didn't get other videos.
You don't see that in that?
Yeah, I don't see that.
I'll be adding them. Maybe
Okay.
missing or somebody removed, not sure. I'll add
Yeah.
those real-time videos also in the previous batch drive which you received. Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay,
Lakshman, one question.
please.
I think someone was asking about this accounting periods, right? So just I think the solution that you talked about is it can be a period transactions from one period calendar can be mapped to another calendar through a different option, a secondary ledger option, right?
Correct.
Okay. So now, especially in the mergers and acquisition situations, this secondary ledger could be created at any point of time. That's my question. Which
Correct.
means,
Any point of time you can create. Yes.
okay, so maybe a year later I decide to acquire something and the
Yes.
calendar is different, then I can create a secondary ledger at that point of time.
Correct. You're right.
On a different note, this can also be done on these EPM cloud, right?
Yeah, EPM is totally different. Yes, there you can do, you can play. It's a kind of a lot of flexibility. You can pull the data, you can massage it, you can present with a different convention. That is pretty much possible in EPM. And again, see, when you talk about EPM, again, clients should have a subscription
Right,
for EPM.
subscription for that, I understand that. But
Yes.
just question that, just
Yeah, possible. Pretty much possible.
thinking the
Not only
possible-
this, many things which are not possible straightforward in our application, finance application, those are very much achievable in the EPM. It could be related to your reporting, consolidation, reconciliation, or budgeting, planning, forecasting, etc. These all are pretty much possible in the EPM solution.
Okay.
Enterprise
And
Performance
how many
Management.
sub-ledgers can be created, Lakshmi?
Sorry?
Sorry, not how many secondary ledgers can be created?
N number of you can create. N number of secondary ledgers you can have.
Okay.
So
So the gentleman mentioned that when acquisitions or something happens and you calendar is different than the parent company, he mentioned that secondary ledger we create, but the transactions, whatever we are posting as that of the primary ledger only, right? Not
Correct.
the report
It
currency.
would be in the primary, it would be reported to secondary. In secondary, they can see they can view the data as per the calendar which they are looking for.
And all the transactions are natural transactions. For example,
Yeah, very, very natural. You don't directly enter anything in the secondary, just because your convention is different, calendar is different, right? That is the reason you are sending. That's all.
Okay.
We'll
So
work on all those. We'll work on primary ledger, reporting ledger, secondary ledger, consolidation ledger. We'll work on all those. It would be very much advanced to discuss all those points.
Correct.
Many people, it would be unknown information and unnecessary information at this point of time. Since question is there, we just touch base. Okay, to get the complete picture, better we can talk about this more detail level when we deal with that. Okay, it's not like just we're touching that to say yes, that is possible. We are not trying to understand the full scope. That we'll see in the system. We'll work on those concepts.
Correct. So instead of keeping so many questions and unknown information, and we may not get much, right? That's why we are getting clarified.
Correct, correct.
Yeah, Lakshman, I have one question. We have you have shared the instances details, right?
Correct.
So in that I see Dev 13, Dev 1 test. So can I use any
First one you
instance
can
or
use.
is there
Always
anything?
you can use first one. Dev 13 you can use.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Use always which is on the top. Okay. Other we have, but those are non-refreshed. Those may work, may not work. Okay. You may have challenges even those are working. Always you prefer to use the instances like which is labeled as a refreshed.
Okay. Okay.
Fine.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. If no questions, we can wind up for today. If you have any questions, please.